Welcome to On the Line. It's Tuesday, May 1st, and we're coming back from a long weekend at the Penn Relays. But obviously, Penn Relays wasn't all that happened this weekend. On today's show, we're going to get into that stuff. We're going to talk with a trio out of Winter Springs High School in Florida, who are not only Florida track athletes, but an emerging band. Then we'll get into our Penn Relays thoughts, the biggest storylines of the weekend, future stars on the track, and our National Meet of the Week, which is the Alabama State Outdoor Track and Field Championships. I'm Corey Mull here with my superstar co-hosts Olivia Ekmanet and Ashley Tishins. Ladies, we braved the cold, we braved the rain, and now we're back. How's everybody feeling?
Oh man, a little tired. Yeah, I have to say. So that rain was kind of draining in a way. What about y'all?
I mean,
yeah,
I love the rain. That's like
Yeah.
braving the temperatures, the weather. Livia was out there doing sideline reporting through it all with her umbrella. How'd you feel?
it was rough. What day was that? Thursday or
Friday?
Friday and Saturday.
Saturday was not too bad with the drizzle. That I could handle, but like everything that happened on Friday with the downpour, the wind was just insane. I feel like I lost my voice. Like it's kind of raspy today, so I'm just like I'm fighting through it. But it was such a fun meet. I really enjoyed it for sure. All right, y'all. And speaking of which, talking about all the excitement things, we have an amazing group of ladies joining us for our show today. We have the Hello Sisters Band. As Corey mentioned, they're from Winter Springs High School. They're student athletes Grace Mason, Gabriella Mason, and Scarlett Mason, who also compete in the sprints, the hurdles, the middle distance races, and also on the 4x8 as well. And they were also featured on America's Got Talent, of course, for their talent. So, ladies, we are super excited to have you join us today, and welcome to the show.
Having us.
Yes. All right, so let's start with this one first. What led you ladies to track and field, and how long have you three been competing together?
We've been running since we were very little.
Ever since the elementary races, we've been doing track.
We did the elementary races, and I think what got us into it is I know Grace, I think, was the first one to start running, right? In the races.
It was
One of
Gabrielle.
you
I don't
two.
know. One of us two, yeah.
And then I was just there to support them and watch them. But you know how you'd always get like the donuts after the races? So my mom was like, you can't eat a donut unless you run. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll run in the race so I can get the donut.
I forgot about this.
And then I started running to join them, and then we all three started doing it together.
But we did it all through middle school and now through high school as well, so for a while.
I love that bribery there at the donuts. That's hilarious.
It worked.
That's right, it did work. And I mean, shoot, now you guys, so Grace, you're a junior, Scarlett a freshman, and Gabrielle, you're a sophomore, and you're all competing together for Winter Springs High School. And right now you're in the postseason right now in Florida for outdoor track and field. What are your goals to finish out this past track season? I know you guys just competed at districts, and I believe you have regionals and hopefully states coming up. So what are you guys aiming to do?
Yeah, regarding our 4x8 relay, we're looking to place first in the region, so we have like a good outlook for states. Yeah, we're super excited.
Goals for like our individual thing. I'm running the 3200, and I'm hoping on breaking 1140 for that and get a PR and hopefully place in the top 2, but we'll see.
You can do it.
And then for me, I'm in the 400 hurdles, so I want to make it in the top 2 to go to states. And then me and Grace are also in the 4x4 relay.
4x4 relay.
So we're also hoping to place in the top 2.
I mean, I think you got a good opportunity there. You should be able to race well. What about best moments this year individually, each of you? I mean, you all run kind of different races. You all have different experiences. So what have each of your best or favorite moments been? And I'll start with you first, Gabriella.
Okay, probably my favorite moment or my favorite like track meet in all was districts that just happened, because in the 4x8 we all won it, which was really exciting, and it was just like super fun to see.
4x4 race.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that too, yeah, because we were which leg? It was the third leg. No, I was the third leg, and we were in like third place or something. And then I just started to. I heard coach, and he was like, "Grace, just get him on the straightaway, the curve." And I was like, "Okay." So I just like went for it, and then when I handed it to our fourth place runner, her name's Ella. She just started going, and we ended up getting first.
We
So
ended
it was
up
like
winning.
it was crazy. I remember
It was
just like
so fun to
jumping and
watch.
just watching the end. But yeah,
Yeah.
And then
because we weren't expecting to.
That
I think
was
we were
definitely
looking to
fun.
get, our goal was to get second, and then we got first. So that was like really exciting.
That was really cool
Yeah.
to watch too. I think
What?
my sorry. I think my
No,
favorite
go ahead,
moment
go
the 30 I just halfway through the season started running the 3200, and it was like the freshman sophomore meet because my coach like signed me up for it, and I never ran it before. So I think it was really fun because I actually did better than I thought I would. So it was cool to be able to get that reaction when I was coming through the line, and I didn't expect myself to be able to do that. So that was a good moment.
and then
I think that's
in
really
the
awesome
for
that
me
you ladies.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, go ahead.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry. And then for me individually,
No, you're
it would
good.
be
Go
in the 400 hurdles. It was like when I won it for districts, and it was like a neck and neck. It was like almost a tie, but I won by like a little bit. But
Oh yeah, and then one of my individual ones was, I think it was sack. It was sack for the mile. I was trying to break like 5:25. So me and Scarlett ran together, and I just stuck like right behind Scarlett the whole time. And then on the fourth lap, I stuck like right next to her, and then I got like
Yeah.
5:24. So it was like a PR for the season. So I was really proud of myself. Yeah.
I think that's really awesome how you ladies are able to do your individual races, but also come together and do amazing things on the relays as well. And it seems like you guys have so many great memories together on the track as well. Now, off the track, you ladies are also super talented. You formed a band called Hello Sisters. When did that start for you ladies, and how did you ladies get involved in music?
Yeah, we've been in a band for about 5 years now. And our dad, he was in a band when he was younger as well. So he would play like music around the house all the time. And all of us also had a passion for music ever since we were really little. Yeah. We did lessons in elementary school. We performed in like elementary school. We were in all of the chorus and like
All the
programs,
different
literally all of
instruments.
the little programs that they had there.
For music classes.
And yeah.
And then, so we knew we loved music, and we did lessons separately. Like I played the drums separately in lessons, and
I did piano lessons. I did vocal lessons first.
yeah. And then she did guitar, and then we were like, why don't we just put this together and see where it goes? And we've been doing it ever since.
Mhm. And after America's Got Talent, we were signed to the Jonas Group Entertainment, which we were really lucky for that. It was
Okay.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
That's awesome. And I mean, shoot, like you said, you formed this a few years ago, then you've went on America's Got Talent, and now you have like a huge, like pretty big following actually, obviously social media and marketing is a big key to building brand awareness. Looking at that, you guys have like over 127,000 followers on Instagram, and that's just crazy for, a high school band like that. Like y'all are killing it out there. What's been your
Thank you so much.
what's been your vision and your goal as you've navigated through this business while also being high schoolers too at the same time?
Yeah, I think we're definitely busy with everything that we're doing.
Yeah.
But it's really refreshing to, at the end of the day, when you can look at what you've done, and just it's really fun. And I know that we all love it. So it's something like sometimes it's hard. Like obviously every time there's gonna be some like haters out there. But when you just sit back and say, this is my passion, this is what I love to do, it's all worth it. And it's really fun.
And we're working on releasing. We have about like 5 songs we're working on releasing soon. We released one last week, so we're just super excited about what's to come.
So Taylor Swift started when she was in high school as well, I think, and producing music. So you're never too young to start. But I'm curious about your influences. I did watch your video, Tragic. Props to you. Good song, by the way. And I read that like people are comparing you a little bit to Paramore. But do you have any influences in music, and what would you say your musical style is?
Yeah, I would say we're pop rock, and one of our favorite artists is actually Paramore. We went to their concert. It was September or October. I can't remember. But
October.
yeah, but we have a different music taste than a lot of people at our school. I would say sometimes.
So so not country. Not country? Is that what you're saying?
Gabrielle likes country. We like all kinds of music.
Yeah, but most people at our school listen to like rap music.
The rap music.
Oh.
I like it. I'm a fan of it, but just
Yeah.
the music we play is more
Pop
pop rock
indie
and then
pop.
indie pop. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's really awesome. And I know you ladies just said like you're working on 5 songs right now. Just kind of walk Corey, Ashley, and myself through that writing process. How do you go about developing a song? And have you ladies ever finished an album before?
Yeah. So usually we do it by ourselves when we come up with like an idea, whether it's like a verse or a chorus, and then we'll come together like after school and be like, do you guys want to work through this song? Or start like getting in the studio and just start putting some guitar or drums down.
And we're really fortunate. We actually have a little home studio, so that makes it really easy. So when one of us have an idea for just like a melody or just a guitar part or something, we can just lay it down and see where it goes. And
and then regarding the album thing, we really just only release singles, but we're working towards doing an album in the future.
Yeah. We've written like a bunch of songs, but we just don't put it on an album. We just like release them as singles. But we have done a thing called an EP, which is
3 songs.
mini albums,
which we've done like a mini album before.
yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, that's crazy how y'all are balancing that with school and everything else. And I have to know too, you know, obviously you run track and you have that student athlete aspect as well. So, you know, how do you balance, you know, being a student athlete with your passion too? And, you know, also, I mean, have y'all had thoughts of like, you know, obviously you're very successful in the Florida level. Have you ever thought about, you know, competing collegiately too as well in track?
Definitely, yes.
I think that's always something like we're keeping our options open. Like, what are we going to do in the future? There's like 2 things. But I think right now we're just doing both because we love both.
Yeah. And they kind of, I don't know another word for this, like connect with each other. Like our hard work for music helps with our hard work in running. And like our motivation and drive, like at practice, helps with music.
The hard workouts. It's really helped us become...
And the fitness, like when we're doing our shows, like we run around on stage. Well, me and Gabriella, Scarlett's the drummer, so we like are running around on stage all the time, and I can just like do it because our fitness level is good. But I don't know.
Yeah, consciously or not, you're developing habits that are making you successful in music. Time management helps with track and in music and all the different parts of that industry. And yeah, for sure, I you know that would be easy to see, and you guys are certainly. Really developing your voice. Now, I'm curious here. You were on America's Got Talent. How was that experience?
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so surreal to...
Yeah, it kind of seemed fake when you're up there.
It did. It kind of just feels like a
fever dream,
like a dream, because it was 2 years ago now.
Yeah. Because we watched America's Got Talent when we were little, and we'd always watch like the funny compilations or whatever on YouTube.
The fails. So funny.
But going there and actually like going through that whole process was like crazy, because we've always seen other people do it, but we were actually there doing it. I still don't
believe we did. Yeah, like we had like a little release party with all of our friends, and then I just couldn't like put it together that we were gonna be on there. Yeah. But we're so lucky. It was a lot of fun.
Now as you get older, obviously, you know, building a brand is important for bands. You want to have exposure, you want to get your name out there, your face out there, and you know, obviously in the music industry, reality shows are a big part of it with The Voice, X Factor, America's Got Talent, all that stuff. Would you all consider doing that again as you get older and maybe giving it another go?
I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know.
I think we thought about that before, like, oh, we should go again and see the reaction of us coming out again.
Because people sometimes comment and they're like, have you ever done America's Got Talent? And then we say that we've done it. But I would say yes if we ever had the opportunity, if anyone like reached out.
Yeah, might be cool to do it again.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us. It was so good to meet you, ladies, and we're wishing you all the best as you finish out your running career. And we're going to be checking out for your singles too, so let us know when you drop some more music.
Thank you so much for having us.
This has been great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. And Nico, can we show that GIF one more time? The GIF was amazing. I I love that GIF. That GIF's amazing. They're rocking out on the GIF. Definitely check out Hello Sister on YouTube. They got a couple songs out there, and I think as we get a couple of years down the road, they might even have an album, and we'll see more from them. Let's move to the Penn Relays, which took place over 3 days at Franklin Field in Philadelphia. We would be remiss if we did not break down the biggest meet of the season so far. So let's dive into our favorite moments of the meet. Olivia, you're out there braving the rain, the temperatures, sideline reporting. Let's start with you first.
I think the biggest race that really stood out to me, I actually have two. Of course, I have two. But the one I'm going to focus more on the relays for this one. This one had to do with Union Catholic, and I think all three of us were really excited to see what they were going to do at the Penn Relays. We went into the meet talking about how the 4x8 national high school record was in jeopardy. And we already knew that Union Catholic was going to put all cards, all chips, everything on the table for this race. And they looked really solid in the prelims as well, just clocking a 9:11, so smooth to do that. And the record was an 8:43.12, which was set back in 2008 by Eleanor Roosevelt at the same meet at Penn Relays. And so what even made it more interesting was the defending champions, Edwin Allen, were also in the Championship of America. And honestly, Union Catholic just really matched every stride, every step of the way. And they've been in tense situations before. We saw them compete at New Balance National Indoors against Cuthbertson. They know how to put their best foot forward. They know how to compete. And the fact that these ladies clocked a 212, 210, and 209 on their legs to come up with an 8:44.98, number 2 all time. And I feel like that was such an amazing moment just to see them celebrate. And even during their post-race interview, they were just like, hey, we just came up just a bit short, but they deserve that moment, as they should. So I was really impressed with how Union Catholic performed at Penn Relays this weekend. And of course, another athlete that stood out, and I remember calling this race for commentary, it was Quincy Wilson, who split a 45.06 in the prelims of the 4x4. And I got goosebumps rewatching it yesterday as we're prepping for our show. And, Calabar did not have an answer for the freshman at all. And the fans were on their feet and the crowd got really loud. I remember calling it with Trevor. We could barely hear each other over the mic. And here's an amazing clip of him just, getting after Calabar here. And Javon Francis, just like, who has the meet record of the fastest split ever with a 44.8 set just a decade ago. Quincy Wilson clocked a 45.06, which was one of the fastest times in meet history, and he helped the Bullis School run a 3:14.12. To be quite honest with you, I feel like Trevor and I had different reactions because Trevor was just like completely mind blown. And honestly, I wasn't really surprised by the split by Quincy Wilson. He's coming off the New Balance National Indoor title with a 46.67 to break the freshman class record and one of the fastest times during the indoor season. And it was just like, I kind of almost expected that from Quincy, and we knew he could do something amazing. And the fact that he went 45.0 was just super spectacular to help the Bullis School make it into the Championship of America final. So those were the two highlight moments for me from Penn Relays this weekend.
Actually, can we just stay on Quincy a little bit
Yeah.
right now? One thing I didn't say, while I was watching the 4x4s, and it was the comparison that I feel like I see out of him. A couple of years back, Justin Robinson from Missouri was absolutely lights out at 400 meters. When we look at athlete profiles, Quincy's only about 5'9", but he 135 pounds, but he is an absolute rocket. Justin Robinson was near identical in terms of profile to Quincy Wilson, and he ran 44.8 as a junior, and he ran 44 again during that COVID year. I see a lot of similarities between Quincy and Justin. The way that they have turnover, their leg turnover, their foot placement, like everything about them, I feel like is kind of similar in some ways. So Justin ended up being one of the best 400-meter runners of all time. So Quincy is already a freshman. So what can he do? That's going to be what we're going to be watching out for. Ashley, what did you see out of Quincy?
Yeah, I remember for that prelim race, I was on the track and we were trying to get some social video, and I was just, there was a huge gap, I have to say, coming down to that final leg. And you saw in that race video there, the way he just so quickly on that turn and then going into the backstretch just made up that ground. It was just, it's crazy. And again, like Olivia said, to me, it wasn't much of a surprise because I've been a big Quincy fan from the beginning, and I think he's going to be really good for a while. And it's crazy to think too that he is just a freshman, because it's like, wow, we get 3 more years of this, and like, maybe he gets a little taller, gets longer legs, and all of a sudden he's just flying around the track even more than he already is. So who knows? He's just a very exciting athlete to watch.
What about your impressions from the meet?
Yeah, honestly, Penn Relays, that was my first time ever being at Penn, and it was definitely a very exciting atmosphere. So many great things went down. For me, obviously, like Olivia, Union Catholic, that was such an incredible moment. One of the last, Championship of America events, and it ended with a near national record. That was really crazy to see. Another thing, too, which I feel like we have to mention as well, is that Jamaican fan and spectator presence there is just, it's insane. Like, I remember being down, especially for the 4x1 and 4x4 relays, and I was standing by the wall in the stands, and there were a bunch of like Hydel high school fans, and they are just screaming. They're like throwing up the Jamaican flags. Like, that was crazy. And I thought, that's just something you don't see every day. So I really enjoyed that just as a moment in general. And then if I have to pick out one race, I have to give a shout out to my guy, or our guy, really, Brian DiCola. We call him the DiColanator now. He apparently accepts that nickname. He ran 4:11 to win the boys' mile. Look at this, in these gutsy conditions, or just pouring down rain like a monsoon out there. But I mean, Brian DiCola, he's a gamer, so that was pretty exciting. And he also showed me afterwards. I remember at Champ Sports Cross Country Nationals, we were asking people if they wear socks or no socks, and he told me, I wear socks, and he wears one white sock and one black sock, like, for every race. It's a superstition. I talked to him after the race, and he's like, Ashley, look, and he points down to his feet, one black sock, one white sock. So it worked for him.
Olivia, I'm so glad you asked him that question after the race. You caught him off guard. I don't know if he even realized it, right? But it seems like you both are kind of warming up to the idea of calling him DiColanator. Right?
I think now it's a thing. Like, we can't go back now. And he said he approves of it, so I think it's okay.
Olivia, did you have any other remarks on DiCola and what you saw out there from him?
I thought it was just a spectacular race across the board for him. I know there was a lot of lead up into it. He was the only guy with the long sleeves, so you could not miss him. But that last like 400 meters was just mind blowing to him, and just the way how he just puts out that gutsy race. He just like gets after it, dug really deep underneath the downpour rain, as Ashley mentioned. The DiColanator really just put on a show for us at Penn Relay. So super spectacular running there.
He's always a fun watch, very engaging watch. For me, there were a lot of great races, and all the races that you mentioned are amazing. I mean, I think the 4x8 boys race, the finish there, was probably, in my mind, the best one, because it literally was 100th of a second, separation between 1 and 2, and it prompted one of those dramatic leans at the line to finish. And the Chatham Cougars from New Jersey ended up making up a outrageous gap in the last lap, courtesy of Ryan Beagle, to beat Jamaica College, or Kingston College, I think it was. Just spectacular, right? You want moments like that in the Penn Relays, and we talked about it going in, like what was going to amaze us and open our jaws a little bit. I think that one definitely did it. Chatham is one of the top 4x800 meter teams in the country now too. Now beyond that, I think all the races we mentioned were great. Shanti Jackson in the 200 against women, 23:11. Got to mention that. Sophia Guerrerion in the 600 ran 1:27, opening to her season. Good stuff to watch there. And all right, now we get the state championship season, qualifying season. We'll get some even better results for some of these athletes. Let's move on from Penn. Oddly enough, there was even bigger results that took place outside of Penn. High school national record in the 200 went down in Texas. A high jump athlete kind of came out of nowhere to score U.S. #1, and another boys miler broke 4. We're going to get into those top storylines. Ashley, let's start with you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was a huge weekend for track and field, honestly. And, as Corey, as you know, we were sitting in the Tampa airport, and then all of a sudden on my phone, I see, oh my gosh, Rocky Hansen went sub-4 in the mile, and that was just crazy news. And so Rocky Hansen, out of Christ School in North Carolina, he joins the sub-4 club in the mile, runs 3:59.56 at the Virginia High Performance Meet against collegians and some other high schoolers as well there. He's the 18th high schooler to ever go under 4 minutes in the mile. U.S. number 15 all-time and the first North Carolina athlete to ever break 4 minutes. He joins Connor Burns as the only other guy so far this year in 2023 to break 4 minutes. And I think this is the most impressive stat to me. This comes just 2 days after he actually competed at Penn Relays for Christ School in the DMR and anchored them to a win at Penn Relays wheel. So that's pretty exciting stuff, like a huge weekend for him there. And he split 4:05 on that 1,600 meter leg there to close that out for Christ School. And if you look too, like he was close for such a long time, right? Like he's clocked sub 4:01 multiple times. He did it indoors. He did it outdoors last year too. Finally gets the sub 4, and he gets to go home to North Carolina now with both sub 4 and a Penn Relays wheel. That's a pretty cool weekend.
Can I ask this, though? He's 2 days after his DMR, right?
Yeah.
In a hard effort, you come back with a sub 4 mile, and nobody really knows about it but him and his coach. Why did that work? Why was that scheduling? Why was that situation so beneficial for him?
You know, it could have been a situation where first he gets to go out to Penn Relays, have a fun moment with his team, right? They ran actually one of the top 15 all-time DMR performances in U.S. history. So they go out there, get a Penn Relays wheel, cool, like everyone's really excited. You get to kind of breathe a little bit. I was talking with his coach over text a little bit, and that's kind of what he alluded to, is like, hey, he got to go out, have a great moment with his team, his school. Then he said, I think he worded it as like he got to de-stress a little bit, and then it's like, all right, you put that behind you. Then no pressure going into this race, really. Like, if you get it, great. If not, you go on to the next chance, and it just turned out to be the perfect moment for him. So I think maybe that had something to do with it as well.
TCOB, what's it mean?
Taking care of business. That's what his coach, Randy Ashley, texted me after I texted him. I was like, oh my gosh, sub 4. And he responded back with that acronym. I had to look it up. I didn't know what it meant, but that's what it means.
Olivia, somebody else TCOB'd this weekend too, right? Who was it?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I'm running out of words to describe this guy, Assam Samsinga from Mount Bird Academy. He's just been so consistent from the winter to the spring. He's been doing every little thing correctly. And as a result, he comes up with another national record, this time in the 200 meters outdoors at the Texas Tech Corky Crowfoot Shootout. Let's try to say that 5 times fast. Assam 1997 with a 1.3 win, and he became the first ever high schooler to break 20 seconds while still competing for his high school team. And I'm just like in complete awe when I think about Assam Samsinga and just what he has done up until this point. And, you know, I just think about what he just a few weeks ago, back in April, he took down Noah Lyles, the previous national high school record holder in the 100 meters. So we already knew and saw that Assam is so sharp right now. So for me, it was just, honestly, I think for all three of us, it was just a matter of time before this time was going to drop. So a huge congratulations to Assam as he just puts out another national high school record for us to just witness. And he's just creating history this whole entire season.
Won't be the last time we see him under 20, do you think, this season? What do you think?
Oh, I don't think so. It's still May. It's like first week of May. Yeah. And we already know like his vision is beyond, like, obviously he's not going to be competing at the state meet, but just looking into the postseason of the spring, right? Like he still has a season to go. So I don't think it's going to be the first time that we're going to see him go under 20. That's just my personal opinion.
I also think it was a really smart decision to take him to Lubbock. It's over 3,000 feet of elevation, you know. Naturally, elevation helps sprinters in some small way. So I think that was a great decision to go. Even though, what was it, Corky Crowfoot invite?
Yeah, like what kind of name is that? Where'd that
you forgot the
from?
shootout in there, yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Corky Crowfoot shootout. Oh, good Lord. All right. Third and final subject here is the high jump out of Tennessee. Now, just last week, Grant Campbell leapt 7.2 and a quarter, I believe, to break the Tennessee state record in the high jump. Great mark. He had gone over 7 feet previous to that in April. He was really just on a run up. You know, decides this weekend at the Volunteer Track Classic to bring it up a notch. 7.3 and a quarter, taking over U.S. number 1 and improving on his state record there. I mean, what's possible for Ben Thompson in the future? Our Tennessee editor, Ben Thompson, thinks he could go after 7.5, maybe even 7.6. He's on a run. He's tearing it down right now. But, you know, it goes to show how much somebody can improve year to year. Because you look at Grant Campbell's MileSplit profile from last year, At one point, as a junior, he cleared 6 foot in a meet, and now he's at 7'3" and a quarter. Right? He was averaging roughly like 6 feet to 6'6" as a junior. That is phenomenal. Whatever coaching he got, whatever training and work he did, he made it work. It was I think he's made such huge strides year over year. It's just, I think we use this term all the time, remarkable, but that purely is remarkable. And I think it goes to show too, I think when you look at high jumpers, there's different tiers, right? 6 foot to 6'4" is typically a normal high school high jumper that can get to the state level. 6'6" to 6'10" might win you a state championship. It'll get you up there in the podium. But 7 feet, you're an elite. You're an all-timer at that point. You're doing things that nobody's ever done before. So he's up at that stage now, and kudos to him for getting there. All right, before we move on to our next segment, we're going to do one last little conversation on the Drake relays, which happened in Iowa this past weekend, one of the big relays out of Iowa. Let's break down what happened in the boys' mile. Olivia, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I had a chance to kind of watch the highlight of this meet from the Drake relays, and I know specifically in the boys' mile, I think this is the first time it's ever been held at the high school level at Drake relays. So I feel like I'm excited to see this opportunity for the athletes kind of in that general area of the country to be able to compete and hit some big marks. But just to see Simeon Birbaum and Jackson Heidish really get after it in this mile was super fantastic. They came through the 880-yard mark in 2:02. And just to see Simeon Birnbaum just handle his business, the Silent Hawk knows how to race. He knows how to compete. And I feel like he just knows how to time things correctly. He just literally sat on Heidish's heels, just coming around that last turn. And then that's when Birnbaum decided to just get after. And the Silent Hawk swept in for the victory with a 58.94 last lap to take that title, which was just super spectacular. And it was just so amazing to see. So just to see Simeon, I think the biggest takeaway is Simeon knows how to race. No lead is safe. This guy, you got to be careful the last 100 meters because this guy's coming after you if you're in front.
Ashley, what about you?
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway, kind of what Olivia alluded to, is like Simeon's kick is lethal, but at any distance too. I mean, we saw earlier this season when he raced at Arcadia, he ran the 3,200. I mean, he was out of that race with like 400 to go. Like, if you had told me that he was going to end up winning that race and run U.S. number 2 all time, I would have said you were crazy. But all of a sudden, 300, he's moving up, and then 200 to go, he just slingshots, around the curve, and he, takes the win there. And so I think that shows that, like Olivia mentioned, he closed in 58 to win the mile at Drake Relays on Friday, and I think this just makes him a really dangerous competitor, and especially going into, soon will be a national championship season. So, and on those national stages, maybe he can let some of those guys up front do the work, but, he's going to be sitting back there thinking, all right, they'll do the work, but I know that I can, kick around them and with some sprinter speed right there. And so I think that makes him maybe one of the hardest competitors, in the mile, the 2 mile, 800 even, to beat probably this year.
One last thing from this race. You just talked about Rocky Hansen kind of under the radar, running sub-4, jumping into a race 2 days after the Penn Relays. Jackson Heidish of Dowling Catholic in Iowa, one of the top runners all time. Everybody sort of knows it. He was saying beforehand, sub-4, I'm going for sub-4. Did it help him or hurt him to say that, I'm going for sub-4 in this race?
Oh, that's a good question. I almost feel like in order to get a sub-4, you almost have to not even think you're doing sub-4. You just have to go out there and run. Like it's so, the margin, like basically once you get to that level, the improvement is minuscule with every race. Like it becomes really hard to shave, just tenths of a second off. And, maybe the approach then is almost like what Rocky did, and it worked well for him is, hey, let's have fun and then, see what I got in me, and maybe not focus as much on, we have to hit sub-4. But, I mean, who knows? Every approach is different for everyone. And, I hope Jackson Heidish, I hope we see more guys under 4. That would be really cool.
They're going to get more opportunities. Olivia, do you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Ashley. I feel like each athlete is different. Like, I feel like I'm just thinking about Reinhard Harrison. This guy knew, like, I'm going after sub-4, and he kept trying and trying and trying, and then eventually it just, like, broke through, and he did it, right? And there's some athletes, just thinking about Rocky, go have fun and just see what happens, just take the pressure off and just go out there and compete. I feel like each athlete is different. So I think just trying to find that sweet spot between like, okay, yes, I know I'm going for this goal, but at the same time, I'm having fun with it could definitely work to some athletes' advantages as well.
Yeah, I give him props for saying it, right? Putting it out
Yeah.
there in the space and really believing.
Exactly.
I think he'll get there, right? Whether he gets there as a high schooler or not, he will have to prove that on his own. But he does have the confidence. I do appreciate him putting it out there and just putting it on himself, right? Because that takes ownership of, to say that. One last thing from the direct relays, I think a silent star out of this is Adrienne Buechner, Cable of Des Moines, Roosevelt. She doubled in the 800 and the mile. She won the 800 in 2:10 and the mile in 4:49. Iowa's always got sort of those combo stars in the distance events, and I think she's the next one coming up as she works her way into the state championships. Remember the name. Remember the name.
Remember
Ladies,
the name.
remember the
The
name.
name.
We remember all the names.
Hey, no one's ever not said that before, right?
That's true.
All right, let's move forward to our next subject, future stars, class of 2024 and 2025. A lot of them coming up into the circuit. Which track and field stars? Some of them have actually already committed to colleges. So let's talk about which ones will be important in the next few months and what we'll be seeing out of the future stars. Ashley, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I want to talk for a minute about Drew Griffith. He's a junior out of Butler High School in Pennsylvania, and he just recently committed to Notre Dame. Go Irish, going into 2024. And he is, I guess you could say, him and Brian DiCola have a little friendly rivalry. So that kind of tells you, what kind of talent he is, how well of a racer Drew Griffith is. He's going to be joining a really talented distance squad that's, been toward the top of the NCAA for quite some time. And they already, looking at their 2023 recruiting class, they have some strong boys recruits in Kevin Sanchez of Austin Vandegrift and Brody Hartley, for the 2023 class. And even if you look at the girls' side, too, they have people like Grace Shager, Arian Olson, Reagan Riley, and, the list goes on. And, they're really building something there. And, if you look at Griffith's stats, I really think he would fit here. He's a 4:07 miler, 14:49 for 5K on the cross-country course. So this is a big grab for the Irish there, and I think he could really, be someone that can contribute to this program very soon.
Olivia, what about you on your end?
Yes, I want to talk about NC State. I feel like they are still on a roll when it comes to recruiting. We saw Kate Putman made her commitment, the 2,000-meter steeplechase record holder, Angelina Napoleon, who just won the girls' mile at Penn Relays. They're also going to be joining this squad in the fall. But recently, Bethany Mahalik of Air Academy in Colorado and Justine Preciano of Cuthbertson in North Carolina have made their verbal commitments to the pack. Now, Bethany Mahalik is just a super spectacular athlete from Colorado. She finished third at Nike Cross Nationals this fall. She's a two-time Colorado state champion for cross country and also the 1,600 meters. But when I saw Justine Preciano make this commitment, I was like, okay, NC State they're really doing a great job of recruiting now. Justine is the 1K indoor champion this year. She was sixth at the cross country state championships also this fall. And she's also been a part of that Cuthbertson 4x800 meter indoor national championship squad that grabbed the national high school record as well. So I feel like they're really starting to build some talent. They already have amazing talent right there as well. And, they just won the championship title for cross country. So I feel like they're really doing a great job of bringing in those recruits from some of the top athletes in the nation as well.
Yeah, speaking of Cuthbertson, I just saw this recently. Stella Kermis committed to Virginia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Virginia.
Commitments are coming out.
Lock it down. Now, to be fair, distance runners are always the first ones to commit. They get out in front of it before the cross-country season.
Yep.
Sprinters take a longer time. A lot of them still need to develop. So there's usually stages to commitments, and that's why we're seeing distance runners right now. Another one of them on the distance side is Marcus Riley, a long-time Massachusetts standout from Northbridge, committed to Michigan recently, and that makes a lot of sense. I think the coaching there probably fits his style. His parents obviously have been very good for him, training him, but I think Michigan probably is a good bet for him. Now, going back even to class of 2025, so these guys got a couple more years, not just next year, but there's two stars brewing out of the Pacific Northwest, and they're going at it toe-to-toe. Vincent Recupero, who we have a picture we're going to show you right now from Bishop Blanchett in Washington. This guy is on fire. He is leading Washington in the 1,500, the 1 mile, and the 3,200 meters. He's got insane talent. On the other side, Josh Tosenson of Crater, Oregon, the teammate of Tyrone Gorsey, leading Oregon in the 3,000 2-mile and the 2-mile. Actually, those are sophomore national rankings. Vincent Recupero is leading the 1,500, the mile, and the 3,200 meters. And then Josh is the 3K and the 2-mile leader in the sophomore class. Those guys in 2 years will be like the ones we're talking about. I guarantee it, right? We have all these runners we're going through every single week with Connor Burns, Simeon Birnbaum. Vincent Recupero and Josh Totenson will be who we're talking about in 2 years. I guarantee you. Now, one last couple mention here is Sid Nye of Westlake, Georgia, and Jonathan Sims of Allen, 400-meter runners from Georgia and Texas, two big sprint states. Next week we're going to Texas State Championships. Jonathan Sims has a chance to win a 400-meter state title as a sophomore. He's got insane talent, but Sid's been leading the 400-meter freshman and sophomore rankings for the past 2 seasons. So John and Sid are kind of going at each other on a national side of things, and just electric talent coming up in track and field. It never ceases to amaze me how many athletes we get coming up. So, as usual, we'll have future star stories out there and rankings we put on MileSplit.com every other week or so. So just stay tuned for some of that stuff. Let's move to our national meet of the week, which is the Alabama State Outdoor Championships, which will take place over several days over 2 sites, the Gulf Shores for 4A to 7A and Coleman for 1A and 3A. Let's break down some of the things to watch, starting first with the 7A meet in Alabama. Classification draws the best talent, sees the best results. What are we watching out for here, Olivia?
All right, to kick things off in the 7A, I was kind of going through the entries for the 7A classification for the Alabama State Championship, and I want to know, can we see the next Javon Harrison potentially? He had the versatility in the long jump, the high jump. He became an NCAA champion in both events. But here in Alabama, I feel like Jay Avery could be part of that conversation, the athlete from Hoover High School. He has an opportunity to snag 3 titles, the long jump, high jump, and triple jump. And it's not going to be an easy feat whatsoever. However, the senior has 2 high jump performances to his resume this year. His highest clearance has been 6'10" and a quarter. And that came at just a month ago as one of his season openers. He also has won his section 3 meet in all 3 jumps. He cleared 6'6". He jumped 22.8 in the long jump and 45.3 in the triple. And he currently leads the state in the high jump and the long jump. And he's number 2 in the triple jump by half of an inch. And just looking at his resume, he has not won all 3 in the same year. And with this being his senior season, I could kind of assume, I'm sure he's going to want to go out with a bang. He probably has all these really big goals that he's striving for. And he is the defending champion in the triple jump. He was 2nd in the long jump, 4th in the high jump for the outdoor season. And then during the indoor, he won the 60 meters, the triple jump, and was 2nd in the long jump too. So I feel like this could be a year where Jay could put everything together, potentially come away with 3 titles. Like I said, it won't be easy, but he has the potential to do so this weekend.
What's his best event?
Oh, I definitely think the triple jump. I think he's chipping away at it. I know I just said half an inch off of the current leader in the state right now, but I think the triple jump, I think he can really surprise some people.
I agree with you. Ashley, let's go. What do you got here, 7A?
All right, looking at 7A, looking at the entries, I think I'll throw out this hypothetical. Can we see not just one individual Triple Crown winner at 7A, or could we see 2 potentially? You have Katie McPhail out of Chelsea High School, the senior. During indoors, she won the 800, the 1600, and the 3200 at the state championships. She's going to be attempting that triple again. But then if you look on the boys' side as well, you have someone like Alex Leith out of Vestavia Hills, and he is going to be entered in the 400, the 800, and the 1600. So there's a chance where we could see 2 athletes, 1 girl, 1 guy, win 3 events, which would be, pretty crazy. And then even if you look too, potentially, it could also be a quadruple because they're both their schools are running the 4x800 and they're both like the top seeds in those events. So how crazy would that be to see 2 different athletes win 4 titles? It was just crazy enough to see. McPhail actually won 4 titles too indoors because she won those 3 individuals, and then her team won the 4x8, and that was crazy enough. But if she could do it again, and then also see Leith potentially do that as well, it may be harder for him because he's not the top entry in the 400. He's more of an 816 guy. But who knows? That could be really crazy to see.
Who could break up his mark? Trey's mark. I mean, Alex's mark in the 1600 meters, though, in Alabama.
Maxwell Harden. That is true. They did.
Harden, yeah.
They did duel it out, I believe, during indoors too. And I guess I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. I think that's you'll get a 1-on-1 matchup there in the 1600.
Yeah.
I think the relays will also be a good storyline here. Especially, it's going to be a Hoover route. I think Hoover won both of the titles, boys and girls, last year. I think Hoover has the depth to win again, boys and girls. But what exactly will they do in the 4x4? On the boys' side, talked about a couple weeks back, they have a lot of great depth. Right now, they've run 3:14, which is Alabama number 1, U.S. number 11. Their number 1 guy, Demarion Gardner, outruns Alabama number 1 time. Zachary King's in the top 10 in Alabama. If they can improve on the 3:14, I think they get into the top 10 of the U.S. rankings, and that says a lot about their depth here, because a lot of those guys don't run past the state season. They don't get out of Alabama. Now, on the flip side, the girls, 4x1, they've run 46 seconds already in the 4x1, 46.47 at Mountain Brook Invite in April. That was a Class 7A record. But the overall Alabama record from way back in 2000 is 46.41 by Tuscaloosa Central. Now, I absolutely think Hoover's girls can break 46.47 and maybe even break 46 seconds overall. Looking at the rankings, all time, 115 girls teams have broken 46 seconds in history. Now, nobody in Alabama has done it. I think, why not now? So Hoover's girls in the 4x1, I think, will be a great storyline to watch in 7A. Last thing we're closing out the show with is the rest of the Alabama State Championships, 1A through 6A. As I said, 4A to 7A is in Gulf Shores. 1A, 3A is in Coleman. Did I mix that up? I don't know. What are the top storylines to watch here, Ashley? Let's start with you.
Yeah, going back to my topic of triples here, I was looking at the 6A classification, and you have a Saraland sophomore, Ryan A. Williams. He leads the state of Alabama across all classifications in the 100, 200, and 400. He's going to be pulling off this triple this weekend at the 6A state meet, and, he's the top guy, and he could do this as just an underclassman. He's also, too, in the high jump and is seeded 8th overall there, so he could potentially score some points for his team there as well. Looking back at indoors, he finished 2nd in the 60. And he also did the 400 and high jump indoors, and he has a chance to upgrade that hardware, I think, from silver to gold this upcoming weekend, so I'm excited to see that go down.
Olivia, what's on your mind?
I'm taking it to the 1A classification. Miracle Wright of Red Level has caught my eyes a little bit. I feel like she has an opportunity to grab some double wins here in the short sprints. And this season, she has gone 12.63 in the 100 meters. She's the second fastest freshman and ranked in the top 35 in the state. And she has the fastest time going in to the state championships with a 12.91 based off her sectional performance. But we know she's went 12.6 win legal already this year. She also has the fastest seed time going into the 200 meters as well, based off her sectional meet time of 26.73. And she's the only girl in that classification to dip under 27 seconds. So I feel like we have a freshman that's on the horizon that can look to lower her times, but also grab 2 gold medals at the state meet this weekend.
Definitely. Closing it out, I think 3A, I think there will be high emotions in the 3A performances there. Recently Phil Dowd was killed by gunfire in April, a senseless shooting in his hometown. If I were the meet directors of that 1A to 3A meet, I would have a moment of silence for Phil Dowd, who was having a brilliant season. Right, he was a future college football player, but he was a talented track athlete. He was leading his class division in the 100 and the 200, and Dadeville was ranked number 5 in the 4x1. So he could have had his best state meet ever to finish out his high school career, and it's really, really sad to know that he won't have the opportunity. So senseless shooting, senseless death. I think 3A, high emotions there, and I think they should offer a moment of silence for him. We'll have coverage of the Alabama track and field championships on Alabama Runners and MileSplit. We'll break it down too, and everything else you could want from this week of action after the Penn relays. We're going to get back to it. We never stop. MileSplit is always doing the content. Any last thing for both of you before we leave?
Goodness, I don't know.
Well,
yeah, just the grind never stops.
Just trying to catch up on sleep. Yep.
Grind never stops. We always putting out the content.
I think we do have to mention,
Absolutely.
Olivia, you're going to be here next week.
I am. I'm going to be there. Texas State
Woo.
meet and also permanently too. So I'm
Exactly.
excited to be
You'll be in
back.
the studio.
And
Yay.
I know, I'm so excited to be back. I feel like Austin has just been a huge part of my heart. So I'm just looking forward to be back with the sunshine and back with you guys. You guys get to deal with me a little bit longer in person now.
Hey, the MileSplit trio is going to be here on site every
Yes.
day, all day, every week here for the
All
podcast.
day.
Loving it.
Woo!
Loving it. All right. For everyone watching and tuning in for the podcast, thank you very much. We appreciate you immensely. We'll be back next week with Texas track and field coverage. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later.